Hello, my name is Richmond Lambert, and this is going to be my persuasive speech about how vaping and smoking harms the lungs. So, experts do have a theory of how vaping harms the lungs. In this persuasive essay, we're going to be discussing about the internal factors and how this type of addiction comes into place. We're also going to dive deep into why this becomes such an issue into our economy, and some ways we'll be able to reduce this. So, according to health.harvard.edu, it states that nicotine is a highly addictive drug or a chemical that can affect the developing brain and potentially harming teens and young adults. Even some nicotine-free e-cigarettes have been found to contain nicotine. So, these devices can affect your life in a lot of ways, depending on if you know someone who is an avid smoker of nicotine or cigarettes. Um, Smoking these toxins can cause one to get popcorn lung. Popcorn lung is the main side effect that can risk your life when vaping. According to the hopkinsmedicine.org website, the term popcorn lung is another name for BOB, or bronchiolitis obliterans. BO was originally discovered when popcorn factory workers started getting sick. The culprit was diacetyl, which is a food additive to simulate the butter flavor. And a lot of the workers had been getting sick. They got a lot of lung diseases such as BO, and diacetyl is the key ingredient in vape juice or vaping pods that you find in things like Joel's. And when it's inhaled for an obsessed amount of time, it can lead to scarring inside of the lungs to make it harder to breathe for the individual. So some people might say that this isn't really a problem because they have the mindset that it is very easy to quit. They might say things like, "Oh, I can quit anytime. It's my choice. I can. It doesn't have to be like this. I only use it a little bit." But what they don't notice is that nicotine is a very, very addictive chemical that can be hard to break once you're in a tight bind like that. Personally, I say that they're wrong because, like stated above, having a nicotine addiction can be very hard to surpass. And I feel like a lot of young teenagers take that for granted. And a lot of them might just start vaping because they see other people doing it. They might see it as a trend, or their friends are doing it. So here are some solutions that we're going to use, or some solutions I'm going to list. For some smokers that are in a very tight bind, the number one thing to do is to get help. According to webmd.com, it states that using behavioral therapy is one of the ways that can help you achieve the process to quitting a nicotine addiction. According to WebMD, it involves working with a counselor to find ways not to smoke. On the website, it stated that it might look for some triggers in the person to see and what other solutions they can use rather than using nicotine whenever they feel like they need it, to kind of help them not be so dependent on it. Even brief sessions that go on for at least 3 minutes have shown to help. Now, some say that these might not work. They might say that it's irrelevant, it's a waste of time. But what they don't know is that it can really help if necessary. Practice makes perfect, and if someone is getting help who stays consistent with the therapy that they're taking, they have a significantly higher chance of quitting and making a quick recovery. If there is no action that will be taken, the individual won't be able to move farther they won't be able to move farther and break the bind of having this addiction of nicotine. And sooner or later, it can higher their chances of death. Now, if we use the solution, getting the help they need, Obviously, they'll get to recover quickly. What they'll need to do is to make sure that they stay consistent. Of course, we can't help someone who doesn't need help or doesn't want help, sorry. Um, if the individual does want help, I do think that it's very, not certain, it's very important that if they do as soon as possible. So experts do have a theory on how vaping can harm the lungs. Getting help is a must in these conditions, because if they don't, there can be a very dire consequence that will affect not only that individual's future, but it can also affect the future of their loved ones as well. But if they do, it can change everything for the better, because it only takes one puff to become hooked. Thank you.